So have you looked at the energy policies of the Mexican presidential candidate?
Yes.
And what do you think of them?
They're all very expected and unfortunately not very progressive.
They're not very progressive? And they're what?
They're very expected.
Expected? What do you mean expected?
Mexico has a history of being an oil exporting country, and the energy policies of the three candidates is very heavily focused and dependent on oil.
So they're very dependent on oil. So what does that mean? Are they good energy policies or bad energy policies?
From the perspective of the environment, and even from Mexico's own domestic security perspective, it's a bad policy to be dependent on oil, because Mexico's production has dropped substantially since 2005, and it doesn't have much of a future as a major oil exporting country. And so any candidates that rely on a future where oil is priced cheaply for the consumers in Mexico, as well as where oil is the main commodity to fund a lot of social projects in Mexico, is going down the wrong path.
So no good candidates in energy policy?
Out of the current three candidates, they're all unfortunately terribly bad, including Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador.
All of them?
Yes.
So what would you recommend to voters?
When it comes to energy policy, unfortunately the choice is none of the above. When it comes to other platforms and other areas, I'll leave the voters to decide for themselves. But I do not recommend it.
The problem is they think some of them are good candidates and some of them are bad candidates, but they haven't realized there's no real differences between them.
That's a good point, and you're right. There needs to be a campaign to make sure that the right candidates come into the picture. But for the time being, the choice between the three of them on energy policy is really, really poor, and cannot be differentiated.
I understand, but what should voters be asking for from as good energy policies? What would it look like for a country like Mexico?
They should be asking voters as to what their plan is, each of the candidates, regarding how they will look at providing Mexico's own energy supply over the next 15-20 years, and listen to their answers. If everything is dependent on oil, extra oil production, continued subsidies for gasoline, and trying to make and finance social projects based on revenues from Pemex, they're all going down the wrong path. You need to look to see if any of the candidates have ideas that are outside of oil. Things like renewable energy, energy efficiency, and so on.
What about solar? Does Mexico have potential to be use solar energy?
Yes, Mexico has substantial solar potential actually, because it's a sunny tropical country. There is a vast resource for solar energy, both in the form of photovoltaics as well as concentrating solar power.
Wow, okay, that's a good answer. Okay, so who are you?
I'm Anand Gopal, and I just finished my PhD from the Energy and Resources Group at UC Berkeley, and I'm now a scientist at the Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory.
Okay, so we should trust you.
I hope so.
Thank you, Anand.